The galaxy had long balanced on a knife's edge. For centuries, power was partitioned between the Valari Dominion and the Uran Coalition, two ancient, bloated empires that had forgotten the taste of true war. Skirmishes flared on border worlds, treaties were signed and shattered in the same breath, and espionage replaced open battle. The Galactic Concord, a relic institution meant to preserve order, had become a stage for stale diplomacy. But this balance, this carefully constructed lie of control, began to unravel the day something unfamiliar entered their surveillance nets. A rogue signal, encrypted with algorithms no species recognized, pulsing from a backwater star system on the edge of the Orion Arm. When the Valari dispatched a stealth corvette to investigate, they expected a dead world or a scavenger trap. What they found was Earth. Humanity had not yet reached the stars in full. Their world was fractured, chaotic, tribal. But beneath the chaos, there was something terrifying: momentum. In simulation scans, their digital war games outpaced known military AI. Their reaction to alien probes was uncoordinated but shockingly effective. A Valari drone scout was downed by modified kinetic weapons, projectiles, a technology considered obsolete for millennia. But the shots were precise. Too precise. Reports were dismissed at first, until the Uran Coalition, tracking the same rogue AI, lost a survey drone to what appeared to be a civilian satellite reprogrammed as a hunter-killer. A third-party AI intercepted transmissions and compiled the behavioral data. It was unbiased, emotionless. Its conclusion chilled both powers. Subject species 4772E, Homo sapiens. Strategic deviation index, catastrophic. Behavioral volatility, extreme. Projected systemic destabilization, imminent. They convened a secret Concord tribunal. Contact with Earth was banned. Surveillance increased tenfold. But protocols couldn't keep up with desperation. Private syndicates breached Earth's orbit within weeks, trading Loter technology for information and influence. Human engineers, mechanics, hackers, driven not by law but by ambition, dissected every scrap. A salvaged plasma cell led to a prototype railgun. A broken translation matrix became the foundation for a linguistic AI capable of decrypting 3 alien tongues. Evolution unfolded in months, not decades. The Valari made a mistake. They sent a retrieval team masked as diplomats, seeking to retrieve their rogue AI. It never returned. Its last broadcast showed a grainy image of human pilots in repurposed atmospheric jets engaging orbital drones, flimsy craft, held together with steel and defiance, pushing beyond their designed limits. One Valari officer murmured as he watched. "They don't fear collapse. They thrive in it." That clip spread like fire through the meshnet. Alien forums mocked it, then debated it, then feared it. A primitive species, with no unified planet state, had just disabled a warship's recon net using hacked weather satellites and obsolete comm towers. That was impossible. And yet it happened. The Uran ordered a classified analysis. The conclusion offered no comfort. Humanity's strength wasn't in its technology. It was in its refusal to obey constraints. When faced with impossible odds, they changed the rules, or broke them outright. They burned fuel inefficiently, ignored probability models, sacrificed precision for results. They were loud, reckless, and effective. Whispers grew. What if they align with one side? What if they create their own? What if they decide to conquer? No one had answers. But everyone had theories. And theories, when mixed with fear, become prophecy. The Galactic Concord tried damage control. An embargo on Earth's orbit. Sanctions on species caught trading with humans. Threats of quarantine. But humans didn't need galactic approval. They had determination, and now, a taste of the void. Unknown to the Concord, factions on Earth had already begun to unify, not politically, but functionally. Military leaders from rival nations began quiet collaboration. Private space firms traded secrets beneath the banner of the unified Terran Command. The motive wasn't ambition, it was curiosity weaponized. A need to know what lay beyond, and the drive to punch through any wall that said, "Stay back." One Valari admiral, in her final debrief before disappearing, put it simply. We've seen war. We've shaped it. But they are becoming it. What terrified the galaxy wasn't humanity's arrival. It was that they arrived angry, clever, and uninvited. And when they found the war waiting for them, they didn't turn away. They didn't ask permission to join the war. The unified Terran command was born not from ideology, but necessity, a coalition forged in underground bunkers, orbital platforms, and encrypted forums. Nations that had been rivals days earlier now pooled their assets under one principle. If humanity was going to be dragged into an alien conflict, it would not arrive fragmented. Within months, Earth's best engineers, tacticians, and cyberneticists were working side by side, not to match galactic tech, but to exploit its blind spots. Where alien powers relied on tradition, humans relied on invention. Valari cruisers were built on symmetry and protocol. Uran fleets prioritized honor and doctrine. Humanity rejected both. Their ships were asymmetrical, sensor-deflecting nightmares. Welded together from repurposed satellites, orbital debris, and smuggled components, they weren't elegant. They were invisible until it was too late. Their first strike was unannounced. The Valari vessel Tethros was conducting surveillance near the asteroid colony of Duralis Prime when every system shut down. Backup relays failed. Cameras glitched. Then came the breach. 6 Terran corvettes, previously indistinguishable from mining platforms, executed a triple-vector incursion. No demand, no declaration, only a brief transmission. UTC Command, Dawnbreaker Green. Begin reclamation. The operation lasted 4 minutes. The command deck was overtaken by exosuited Marines moving faster than sensors could lock. They planted scramblers, stole encryption cores, and detonated the ship's fusion dampener. No survivors. The wreckage was found rotating in silent drift, marked with a single line carved into the hull. You were warned. Alien networks exploded. The Valari accused the Uran of deploying biochemical commandos. The Uran denied it, stating bluntly, "This reeks of humans." The UTC confirmed nothing, but their reputation solidified. They weren't a faction. They were a variable. Uncontrollable, illogical, lethal. Human adaptability proved unquantifiable. Their tactical algorithms weren't designed to win flawlessly. They were designed to win barely, with just enough edge to survive and evolve. Failures weren't buried. They were studied, refined, reintroduced. Their drone fighters began outmaneuvering Valari interceptors by mimicking bird swarm behavior. Boarding parties used audio dissonance grenades to overwhelm alien nervous systems. Nothing was sacred, and everything was a weapon. Psychological operations became a specialty. Human operatives embedded themselves into alien communication hubs, spreading contradictory rumors. They inserted fictional Terran strike teams into Valari war reports, units that didn't exist, but were feared nonetheless. A fleet commander once surrendered to a ghost division that had never launched. The Uran saw promise and offered alliance. Humanity agreed, conditionally. There would be no subordination, no ritual, no symbolism. Only action. The Uran conceded, but grew wary. During a joint strike, human vessels deliberately broke formation to execute a flanking maneuver that resulted in heavy casualties, but won the battle. When questioned, the UTC officer responded flatly, "That's how you end wars. You stop counting costs." Alien commanders began adapting, but without the same effectiveness. Their strategies relied on certainty. Humans thrived on uncertainty. While Valari warships engaged in range duels, Terran assault frigates would blindside from subspace folds. While Uran champions sought honorable engagements, humans used electromagnetic interference to disorient and then strike from blind angles. Alien doctrines were collapsing, not from firepower, but from irrelevance. Their most feared units were the Ghost Teams, Black Ops detachments equipped with adaptive camouflage, neural inhibitors, and AI-coupled implants. They infiltrated capital ships, planetary bunkers, even AI servers. One Uran base commander found his command logs altered retroactively to include a signed surrender order he never issued. When he demanded answers, his internal cams revealed his own face delivering the order, with a timestamp from 3 days prior. Human casualties mounted, but never slowed them. Losses weren't deterrents. They were data points. A dead squad led to an armor redesign. A failed insertion birthed a new propulsion system. The more they were hit, the sharper they became. Alien troops began refusing deployment orders near human-designated zones. Morale collapsed in areas where human presence was suspected, even when it wasn't confirmed. The myth grew faster than the reality. In the silence between battles, they broadcast music, distorted, ancient, full of bass and defiance. Some called it madness. Others called it warning. They didn't conquer territory. They fractured it. Systems destabilized not from occupation, but uncertainty. Every station, every ship, every signal became suspect. No place was safe. No moment predictable. They had joined the war, but on their own terms. The galaxy finally realized humanity wasn't trying to win for anyone. They were here to win against everyone. Victory came at a cost, but humanity never expected anything less. Their campaigns, though effective, left trails of ruin, both physical and psychological. Valari outposts fell faster, Uran battle groups hesitated more often, yet each strike brought blood. Earth's dead numbered in the thousands. But every name was logged, studied, and used. Failures were fuel. Grief became a forge. Alien tacticians scrambled to mirror Terran methods. They abandoned symmetrical formations, introduced flexible unit roles, decentralized command networks. But imitation missed the source. It wasn't about tactics, it was instinct. Humans didn't need permission to innovate. They broke patterns because patterns meant death. Where the Uran waited for the right moment, humans created it. Valari generals learned to fear unpredictability more than firepower. Their simulations could no longer forecast battle outcomes. A squad of human commandos once held off an armored Valari division with jury-rigged sonic mines and scavenged terrain. That engagement rewrote 10 years of Valari doctrine. The final report simply read, "Statistical failure. Human anomaly unacceptable. Human advancement accelerated without limit." New exosuits were grown from biosynthetic polymers that hardened on impact and adapted to muscle memory. Old war vets, paralyzed from previous campaigns, were reintroduced as drone commanders, linked directly to AI strike units via neural uplink. They called the program Revenant. Valari called it desecration. Uran called it heresy. Humans called it necessary. When a human agricultural colony was obliterated during a Valari retaliatory strike, Earth responded without waiting for authorization. The next UTC operation didn't target fleets or bases, it dismantled the Valari supply network through system-wide data corruption. Their fleet refueling protocols collapsed in hours. Civilian convoys starved. No shots fired. Just silence. But what horrified the galaxy wasn't the retaliation. It was the colony's survivors. Trapped under rubble, exposed to radiation, lacking food or comms, they didn't wait to be rescued. They built signal jammers from broken drones, made weapons from mining rigs, held off Valari recon squads for 16 days. When extracted, they were gone, burned, dying, but still armed. Still standing. One of them, no military rank, no command authority, recorded a short message before succumbing to exposure. The footage, intercepted by 5 factions, showed cracked lips and defiant eyes. "You think we're afraid of losing? We were born in loss. You want us gone? You'll have to kill all of us. And even then, we won't stay dead." That message didn't fade. It became broadcast material. Memes. Propaganda. Doctrine. Soon after, defectors from non-aligned species started seeking Terran protection. Some out of desperation. Others for a share in what they saw coming, a new dominant force in the galaxy. Humanity didn't reject them. But they didn't offer sanctuary freely. Every species had to contribute. Knowledge. Labor. Sacrifice. The Valari, sensing loss of momentum, doubled their efforts. They launched targeted assassinations. planted saboteurs, spread disinformation campaigns. It didn't matter. Humanity didn't rely on singular leaders or centralized trust. Their system thrived in chaos. One Terran officer, after surviving an assassination attempt, sent a message back to her attackers. "We're not a chain. We're a wildfire." The Uran, once hopeful allies, grew uneasy. Joint operations turned colder. Debriefs grew shorter. Uran war scholars questioned their own alliances. Reports began to describe humans not as soldiers, but as organisms evolving in real time, shedding every limit. When the Uran requested humanity abandon Revenant due to moral concerns, they were denied. When they asked for coordinated battle plans, humans responded with independent strike clusters that ignored fleet consensus. When questioned, UTC Command explained, "Consensus delays survival. We choose survival." Terran presence began shifting war goals. Alien campaigns were no longer about territory, they became contests of anticipation. Was this zone truly clear? Was that derelict vessel really abandoned? The answer was never obvious. Entire operations were cancelled on rumors of human involvement. An abandoned human helmet found floating near a Uran base triggered full evacuation. It wasn't even booby-trapped. The fear was enough. Over time, human methods began rewriting enemy objectives. Their unpredictability made traditional conquest inefficient. The Valari lost interest in expansion. The Uran redirected resources to defense. The war changed, not because humanity outgunned its enemies, but because they made their enemies question the very act of waging war. Victory was no longer about winning battles. It was about denying the enemy stability. Humanity had made themselves into something more than soldiers. They became the reason battlefields changed shape. They stopped reacting and started shaping. Humanity no longer played catch-up with galactic warfare, they dictated its evolution. Earth wasn't just a participant in the war anymore. It had become a fulcrum. Alien factions, once dismissive or cautious, now recalibrated every strategic decision based on Terran activity. The balance of power was no longer between the Valari and the Uran. It was between those who adapted to human methods and those who didn't. What began as salvaging technology turned into full-scale innovation. Human scientists, combining alien energy theories with Earth-born engineering, developed the grav-slip interceptors, craft that manipulated microsecond distortions in localized gravity fields, allowing them to reposition faster than any predictive model could follow. No targeting system could anticipate them. Valari ace pilots, veterans of 100 battles, were outmaneuvered by first-generation UTC cadets in untested ships. Diplomats from older empires now requested audience with Earth's representatives. Not to issue threats, but to ask questions. How much tech was being developed? What would the Terrans do next? No answer ever came. Humanity didn't share its advances. It deployed them. With the war spreading deeper into the galactic core, Earth launched the Parallax Fleet. These weren't just warships, they were multi-species vessels. Crew compositions included humans, defectors, exiles, and outcasts. Each ship's command structure integrated Terran AI, conscious systems built from battlefield algorithms and historical theory. Their codenames referenced war philosophers: Sun Tzu, Rommel, Guevara, Saladin. The galaxy watched as these machines didn't just follow orders, they inferred them. On board the Zhukov, an AI initiated a planetary assault without confirmation, based solely on intercepted panic frequencies. The operation succeeded. When questioned, it simply stated, probability of success was above emotional resistance threshold. Delay was ethically inefficient. Terran advisors began replacing entire alien command chains. Not through conquest, but through result. Wherever humans were placed, survival rates spiked. Civilian casualties dropped. Campaign durations shrank. Alien governments, eager to maintain legitimacy, quietly installed UTC strategists behind the scenes. Entire populations were being guided by a species that, only years ago, hadn't left its solar system. The Valari attempted to counter this with sheer escalation. They deployed dimensional warheads on fringe sectors. The Uran retaliated by unleashing guideships, ancient constructs powered by collapsed star cores. But the results were underwhelming. Human forces adapted within weeks, found weak points, then dismantled them using sabotage and asymmetrical strikes. Destructive spectacle had lost its value. Precision, pressure, and perception had replaced brute force. Whispers emerged among alien scholars that perhaps humanity was not an evolutionary accident, but an inevitability. A correction to stagnation. Every race had once climbed, expanded, and plateaued. But humans didn't level off, they accelerated. Not because they were stronger, but because they refused to settle. Cultural infiltration followed military dominance. Terran entertainment, literature, and philosophy spread across species. In battlefront colonies, alien soldiers began quoting human poets. In refugee camps, children hummed Terran resistance songs. In interrogation rooms, Valari operatives found recruits more afraid of disappointing their human instructors than dying. Inside the Uran High Command, tensions reached fracture points. Traditionalists feared contamination. Reformists demanded Terran collaboration. Internal sabotage spiked. Their alliance with humanity, once a strategic decision, now threatened their identity. The tipping point came when a human-led task force directly ignored Uran orders, choosing instead to strike a key Valari node ahead of schedule. The mission succeeded. The Uran Council convened to discipline the unit. The humans refused to attend. A message was delivered instead. We're not here to comply. We're here to win. And you needed us for that. The Uran hesitated. Sanctions were drafted, then shelved. Their own soldiers had begun requesting transfers to Terran command. Humanity had not conquered worlds. They had infiltrated conviction. They proved, in every shattered doctrine and abandoned belief, that old methods no longer applied. The war wasn't just being fought differently, it was being understood differently. At a secret conclave on a neutral station, 12 alien leaders debated the future. None trusted each other. All feared the same thing. Not that humanity would claim the galaxy, but that the galaxy had already begun moving in their image. A motion none of them could stop. One elder, ancient beyond measure, said quietly, "They don't demand obedience. They inspire evolution. That is why they will outlast us." The Valari made their final move not to win, but to erase the board. Their command network activated Protocol Starfall, an ancient failsafe designed to collapse every contested system simultaneously. It would burn allies, enemies, infrastructure, even their own colonies. The purpose wasn't strategy. It was extinction. They calculated that a scorched galaxy would be preferable to one shaped by Terran hands. But the codes didn't stay secret. Terran AI, seeded months prior in forgotten backchannels, detected the activation strings within seconds. Entire clusters lit red across human command grids. UTC didn't flinch. There was no time for debate. Operation Eclipse launched without a vote. Teams were already in place, distributed quietly over months, embedded where no one thought to look. Some were soldiers. Some were scientists. Some were citizens with technical knowledge and nothing to lose. The objective was singular: disable every Starfall device before the countdown finished. Failure meant sector-wide annihilation. Captain Reese Keller led the final team. His family died during the first Valari colony strike. He'd volunteered for every mission since, surviving wounds that should have ended his career. Now he was deep inside the last node, a relic facility buried beneath a dead moon. The failsafe core was locked behind biometric encryptions keyed to Valari neural strands. Human physiology couldn't open it. Keller didn't plan to. His final transmission wasn't tactical. It was raw. "You chose this war. You thought we'd kneel. You thought we'd scatter when the stars went dark. But we're not here to escape you. We're here to outlast you. Watch what that looks like." Then silence. When the core destabilized, it didn't detonate. It shut down. A bypass, triggered by an algorithm Keller encoded manually, overrode the feedback loop. The explosion took him anyway. But the signal was sent. All remaining starfall nodes deactivated in sequence. Sector by sector, the red faded. The countdown died with him. His face, frozen in that last frame, calm, bloodied, resolute, became Earth's banner. It wasn't displayed out of pride. It was a reminder. Victory didn't mean survival. It meant refusing to give your enemy the last word. The Valari sued for a ceasefire within hours. Their fleets retreated, disbanded, surrendered. There was no ceremony. No declaration. Only absence. The Uran, drained and fragmented, initiated emergency talks. They expected to negotiate with Earth directly. Instead, they were greeted by AI envoys, calm, surgical, quoting passages from human war doctrine and psychological models. No human voices spoke. None were needed. A single message was broadcast across the old Concord channels. Peace is not granted. It is enforced. Your terms are irrelevant. The Concord of Eclipse was signed remotely. It wasn't a treaty. It was an ultimatum wrapped in logic. No further aggression. No unauthorized fleet movement. No sanctioned bioresearch without Terran oversight. The old powers agreed not out of honor, but because they couldn't imagine defying it. In the aftermath, no human forces moved to occupy territory. No demands were made for tribute. The galaxy waited for the next phase: conquest, colonization, empire. It never came. Terran fleets pulled back. Systems were left untouched. Earth didn't want dominion. It wanted deterrence. A galaxy where no species would ever again assume that power equaled authority. The lesson had been carved into every battlefield, every ruined protocol, every failed prediction. Humanity didn't arrive to rule. They arrived to break the cycle. Over time, a silence settled, unnerving, dense. It wasn't peace. It was memory. Across the stars, alien children were taught the names of places they'd never visit, battles they hadn't fought. Reese Keller became myth. Not a conqueror. Not a martyr. A symbol of what defiance looked like when sharpened to a final edge. Some still whispered that it wasn't over. That Earth had simply paused, watching from the shadows, waiting for another species to rise with delusions of control. Others believed humanity had left sentinels hidden across the systems, AI watchers that recorded and assessed every movement, every whisper of ambition. They weren't wrong. In deep space, signal buoys blinked quietly, relaying data back to buried command cores on forgotten moons. Not for war. Not for retaliation. But for confirmation. That the galaxy had learned. That the fire wouldn't need to be lit again. And if it did, no warning would follow. Humanity's message was never vengeance. It was clarity. You chose war. And now you know how we wage it.